World Cup is finally here. We're excited to break it down. We got a panel of experts, including this show-off right here. Former U.S. men's national team forward Charlie Davies. We're going to look ahead to all 32 teams. Keep juggling, pal. We're ready to go. It starts right now. All right, we like to have fun around here. Welcome. This is Matchups Breakdown presented by Jägermeister. Hope you like football. I'm Adam Kaufman. This guy right here with me, Charlie Davies, and we have got a couple of fantasy analysts here with us as well, Jordan Cooper and Andrew Laird. Fellas, 32 teams set to do battle in Russia starting Thursday. Germany won 4 years ago. Spain, Argentina, France, they're all contenders. Brazil had a 2014 it'd like to forget. So let's get right into it. Team rankings. Let us debate how you would rate these teams' chances to advance out of group play in the World Cup, because here at DraftKings, we're excited about the Jägermeister Real Shot Challenge. First things first, and Charlie, I'm going to start right here with you, pal. Portugal, okay? Euro 2016 champs. Can Ronaldo get the job done?
They'll get out of the group. That's for sure. What it comes down to is, will they finish first or second? They're going up against Spain. In my opinion, they'll finish second. And I think they'll get to around the quarterfinals, and that's when they'll bow out.
Jordan, given?
I don't think it's necessarily a given. This Moroccan team looks pretty good. Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. They have Hakimi, who's from Real Madrid. Portugal's problem has always been is that can anyone else step up outside of Cristiano Ronaldo? I think this could be a tournament for Bernardo Silva to shine, given the chance. I mean, they can't put that much onus on Ricardo Quaresma at this stage of his career. But really, I think Portugal's chances of advancing from the group are still good, because, you know, they are still by far the second best team in this group. But you really need to see whether or not someone else besides Ronaldo could step up, because they're not going to be able to get by with the stalemate type of soccer they played in the Euros to get them there.
Jordan, didn't we see them step up in the final without Cristiano Ronaldo in 2016 Euros? I think that basically, for me, cemented that they can do it without him. And it's a confidence booster, because the players know, look, we won a European championship without our best player. Cristiano Ronaldo was out. We stepped up and we won the title. Now we got him back for this World Cup, which is what everyone plays for. And I think Cristiano has the belief in his team, confidence in his team that they can do what they need to do, and he's going to deliver. So I think, with that being said, they have what it takes mentality-wise to get to a final. I just don't think they have enough quality to win.
Well, Andrew, help us out here. I need you to effectively be a tiebreaker, because obviously, you know, with Ronaldo back, not only a whole lot more talent, but a whole lot of handsome coming back on that team as well. Charlie thinks it's basically a given they get out. Jordan, not as convinced. Where do you fall?
I'm going to fall with Charlie there and go with Portugal. I mean, when you're saying like, oh, Morocco has Hakimi and he plays for Real Madrid, and it's like, well, Real Madrid's best player plays for Portugal, and he's also one of the best players in the world. So, I mean, I think it'll be tight. And it's tough that they have that first match against Spain, so you're not really expecting them to come out blazing against Spain. But the other two, I think they just wipe the floor with them.
All right, let's move right along then, because we got about a half dozen I want to cover here. Let's go to Egypt, Jordan. Maybe, you know, go and actually look at all the pyramids. Sounds like a lot of fun. All about Mo Salah. We know that much, but expected to advance. Where do you fall?
Well, I don't think they're the favorites to advance. I mean, even out of that group, even though Russia is the weakest number 2 team out of all the groups, but it is being played in Russia, and we've seen in World Cups that the host country typically gets out of the group. But for Egypt, I mean, it's Salah and defense, and in this first game, it's not expected for him to play, although, you know, he said in the media that he's looking forward to possibly coming on. But I almost think it's better that he rest and not play against Uruguay, because they're not expected to win even if he was playing. So to have him at full strength, if he's able to play against Saudi Arabia and against Russia, I think bodes much better for Egypt. But without Salah, they don't even get past Russia with them being the host country. So it's either him or bust.
Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, we look at Egypt, they're a very defensive team as it is, even when Salah is on the pitch. And so if he comes off, or he doesn't play, then obviously they kind of have to lock it down even more. But it seems like Egypt's chances of advancing totally depend on Russia. I mean, it's really if Russia play like they are kind of how the odds makers expect them to play, then they advance. But Egypt should get the result against Saudi Arabia. They're not going to, as Jordan said, the matchup against Uruguay is one that Salah probably should skip anyway. So it's really going to come down to that match against Russia. And Russia, when they are good, are better than Egypt. And so Egypt's chances depend on how good Russia is.
Charlie, I'm going to assume you agree with much of that logic. So really, if it comes down to Russia, how does this thing play out with Egypt?
If Mohamed Salah is healthy, 100% Egypt are going to go through. He is that dynamic. He's playing unreal. He's been fantastic, sensational this year. If he's playing, they're going to go through. With that being said, we don't know how healthy he is, how good his shoulder is. Russia, the host country, the fans are behind them. They have to play with pride. It's going to be difficult, but if Mohamed Salah is healthy, they advance.
If he's not, and if he
not,
doesn't,
they're out.
Even if he doesn't play, and we talked about that before in that first match against Uruguay. Is there any potential there for an upset? Do you think?
There is no chance.
None.
No chance for Egypt without Mohamed Salah.
Okay. All right, well, let's move it right along here. We're going to bounce ahead to Chase Fade, take a look at a variety of different things that we're going to get from these guys. Because, again, remember the way Chase Fade works, or if you're new to this, it's basically a yay or nay. Do you buy in? Do you expect things to play out? I want to know if these guys agree with what we're going to talk about, or if not, convince us why. Give us another viable play. First things first, games with chalk teams will consistently provide the most fantasy goodness. What do you say, Andrew?
The answer technically is yes. They will provide the fantasy goodness. The problem is a lot of these World Cup teams have so many guys who can produce that they're going to end up spreading out these fantasy points. So when you see like a big favorite, when Germany play or Spain plays or Brazil plays, you're like, okay, I can get a lot of points from this game. The problem is you're going to have to get them from a lot of guys. Odds are you're not going to be able to afford all of them. So technically, yes, the fantasy points are there, but it's going to be really difficult to key in on the one guy or the two guys that are going to get them.
What do you think, Jordan? Taking a look here at our sweatometer, it's not overwhelming from Andrew. You can top him here, pal.
I'm going to go double and triple yay. I'm going overboard. In the World Cup, the caveat being that World Cup tends to be lower scoring. So focusing so much on the goal-dependent players, the top forwards that either score or they don't get that many peripherals. I could agree with Andrew on that extent. But the underdog sides in these groups especially, they're going in looking for a draw. They're going in looking to stalemate. They will allow the favored teams to have 65+% possession. And in fantasy soccer, possession equals peripherals. So even though, yes, it may be hard to pinpoint who scores the goal for Germany or something like that, but I'm more inclined to play 3 Germans in that match, against South Korea than try to pick out the goal scorer and then try to spread it around to other teams. Chalk teams are the teams to pick. The underdog teams, you try to, in showdown formats, take one of them and the best one you can, and then stack the rest 5 and 1.
You gonna cool this thing down here, Davies? You're gonna throw another log on?
Jordan was 100% right.
All right.
Chalk it up. I'm covered in chalk. It's all about the chalk teams. Brazil, one of the favorites. You got Neymar, you have Coutinho, you have Gabriel Jesus. The teams are going to score goals. You pick the goal scorers. It's 10 points per goal. I'm going all chalk.
All right, easy enough, right? You can't. There's no refuting that. It's kind of basic sense, right? Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship because they got a great offense. Great offense leads to points. Next one here, guys, chase or fade. Top 5 team will choke in the first round. So, Charlie, any notorious chokers here, like England, maybe?
England's known for choking, but after they get out of the group stage, I don't see or anticipate any of the top teams choking in the group stage. Maybe there's a draw here that might shock people here or there, but all the top teams will get out of the groups.
Andrew, give me someone to be disappointed in.
I kind of go right to Argentina, as crazy as it sounds, since Lionel Messi plays for them. But of the top teams, they have the toughest group. When you look at these teams, you can't just look at how good they are. It's really how good they are and the 3 other teams they have to play. And looking at Germany's group and Brazil's group, they should be fine. Argentina is going to have 3 tough games. I mean, they should win them, but Croatia, Iceland, Nigeria, that's a tough group. And so if you need somebody in the top 5 who might go down in the first round, I'm going with Argentina.
What do you say here, Jordan?
Well, I'm still perplexed that Charlie was talking about England as if they were a top 5 side in this World Cup. So I think plus the other 2 sides are that bad. But if they falter, I'm not going to be shocked at all because they're not a top 5 side. But I think recently today, Kylian Mbappe had a training injury, which we don't know whether or not he's going to play. Now, France has a stacked lineup as it is. So whether or not he plays, it may not matter as much. But France, I don't trust Deschamps. I agree with Andrew that Argentina has the toughest group, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if Peru upset France for any given reason. I still think at the end of the day, all these top teams end up going through, but I wouldn't be surprised as much with Argentina and France not knowing how best to play their 11 and somehow, drawing against Denmark and losing to Peru or vice versa and coming in 3rd place.
Here's what I love here, Jordan. It's straight fire on that screen in the sweatometer right now. Yet, Charlie, you're sitting here just shaking your head.
How can you say England is not a top team in this World Cup? If you go group by group by group, England is for sure coming out of their group with Belgium, 1 or 2. They have Harry Kane, who is one of the most prolific strikers in all of Europe. You have Dele Alli, another Tottenham Hotspur. You have Raheem Sterling, who was fantastic this year with Man City. They have a ton of talent. It's a young English squad looking to build off of these I guess games that people find the England team is finally going somewhere. And I would be shocked to see them not make it out of the group as a 1 or 2. Belgium obviously is a stronger group in that team in that group, but England is one of the best teams in this World Cup for sure.
Feel that header, Jordan. Feel that.
I can name the teams. Do we know how to count? I mean, Spain, France, Brazil, Germany, Belgium, Colombia, Argentina. I mean,
You can't throw Colombia ahead of England?
Of course.
Come on! Come on, Jordan!
Are you kidding me? Look at that midfield. What you got? Jordan Henderson, Eric Dyer? I mean, what are we talking about?
They play in the best league in the world. These are proven players, year in, year out. You're talking about Jordan Henderson. Did his team not make the Champions League final? Did he not play for one of the best teams in Europe, Jordan?
Well, Mane plays for Senegal. I'm not saying that Senegal is the top team in the World Cup.
And does Mane's team, does the whole team play in the English Premier League, essentially? No. We're talking about Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Dele Alli. I mean, the team is loaded. It's loaded. And then you have all capable defenders. All capable. They're playing a new system for them, a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, however you would like to put it. But this is a team that is loaded with talent, young talent. It's an encouraging England team. I feel that the fans are finally getting behind this team because they're playing more as a team. This is a top team.
I'll wait to hear from you when they draw to Tunisia.
That will never happen.
You ought to think about playing the game sometime.
I'm ready to play right now. I'm ready to go on the streets and play.
Go out there and grab a ball. All right, let's go Real Shot team picks, okay? DraftKings, the Real Shot Challenge, asks users to pick a team that they think would win the World Cup. But there's incentive for a team to not be an obvious favorite, right? I think we can agree on that. So who would your pick be and why? Andrew, we haven't let you talk in a little while. What do you got?
I'm not guessing the coolest one here, but I'm actually going with Uruguay, who have a really easy opening group. They potentially can play Portugal in the second round, which, however you want to look at it, whether they're inspired by their 2016 Euros championship or they're only Cristiano Ronaldo and they're not that good. But I think they can compete with them. And then they possibly have France in the round after that. And as we say, we're not really sure. Didier Deschamps has had this team for a few years and he still doesn't really know who his best players are or what formation is the best to use. And I think they could find them on a bad day when you have Luis Suarez and Edinson Cavani. And at that point, you're in the semis and kind of anything can happen. And so, you can take a top team if you want, but everyone's taking the top teams. And I think Uruguay is kind of right on that next group. You could argue if they're better than England or not, but I think that's the team to go for.
Jordan?
I'm taking Germany. I know they're the obvious favorite. I know. I mean, you get more if you don't, but underdogs don't win World Cups. I mean, you'll most likely that the final is going to be Germany, Brazil, France, Spain. It's going to be one of these teams. I'll let Andrew throw away his final pick with Uruguay, and I'll just take the easy points there because Germany, their system. I mean, like we talk about France not knowing how to play their best 11. Spain is kind of in a similar situation. They'll pass themselves to death. Brazil and Germany, the only two teams that have very distinct playing systems, and even the bench being able to fill in and seamlessly into that system. So, I mean, I know that Sane wasn't included in the side, but I think that shows how much Germany relies so much on their system of play, and they just have too much talent there that their system's going to end up taking them all the way to the final. And I don't care if it's an obvious favorite. I'll be boring, and I'll take the points with Germany.
Yeah, I just wish we had time for a counter from Andrew right there. But Charlie's sitting here, he's looking like a pit bull. Who you got, Ben?
Brazil. Neymar, he's back. He showed it in these past friendlies leading up to the World Cup. He's ready to go. It's an exciting team, full of flavor, full of skill, speed. I'm excited to see them play. I have a good feeling they're going to avenge their 7-1 defeat in the 2014 World Cup to Germany, and I think they'll be lined up for a semifinal showdown heading into the World Cup. I love Andrew's pick, Uruguay. It's a safe pick for a team that's not a favorite, but their defense is just below par. It's not good enough to get it done for World Cup. Jordan, he was right when it comes to there are no underdogs that are going to end up winning a World Cup. You can make it maybe to a semifinal, quarterfinal.
Talent wins out.
You're never going to win a World Cup as an underdog, as a extreme underdog. So with that being said, Brazil will be the champions.
Tell you what, Jordan, for the amount this guy came after you throughout that show, I would just take it. I'd take the compliment and run. Jordan and Andrew, thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
This summer, don't just watch soccer, play in the DraftKings Real Shot Challenge presented by Jägermeister and turn your prognostications on the pitch into some seriously cool prizes. The rules of the game are simple, just pick winners. You start by picking the country you love, and this is important because one of the two leaderboards you'll be hoping to top will be comprised solely of those who pick the same country. Once group play begins, start your mornings off by picking outcomes of each and every match kicking off that day. For each you get right, you earn 5 points. You'll have plenty of time to catch up even if you've had a bad day because you'll continue to accrue points throughout the tournament, especially once we reach the knockout stages. Picks in the round of 16 are worth 10 points, and then 15 points for the quarterfinals and on until the final, where a correct selection scores 30 points. Have a perfect day of picking and you net yourself a 3-point bonus. You also can earn additional points by watching videos on the Real Shot Challenge webpage. At the end of the tournament, the 5 top point getters in each nation's leaderboard walk home with a national team jersey and a Jägermeister jacket. All entries are automatically entered into an overall leaderboard where the prizes are even more lucrative, like the ultimate fan experience, an all-expenses paid trip to the winning team's country to celebrate sweet victory like a local. Enjoy a VIP soccer experience including game tickets, transportation, and swag. Plus extra cash so you can roll like a Meister. You don't need cash to enter, it's free. So what are you waiting for? Grab your globe and start your research.
All right, Andrew back with Charlie and I, and we've also got Skylar Redpath, another fantasy soccer analyst and also a man who sounds like he would be a very important character in old age literature as well. Skylar, hello, welcome. Guys, we're going to jump right into fantasy soccer strategy. Please, I want you to break down your approach to fantasy soccer on DraftKings, specifically the World Cup, of course, based on a variety of things. Now, first things first, you got a max of 3 forwards. We know that when you're building your lineup of 8 guys. So you got the 2 in the utility. How many stud forwards can you fit into a lineup? Where are you going to pay up? Skylar, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think generally you may be able to squeeze 3 studs in. and that might not necessarily be a forward. You might even be able to squeeze it into your midfield spot or a utility spot. For me, I'm usually targeting the set piece taking forwards. Say a guy like Neymar, for instance, going to eat up a lot of my salary, but that's who I'm going to try to squeeze in first, and then hope that the pieces kind of fit in around a guy like him.
Andrew, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, particularly for cash games, it's kind of difficult to say you want to pay up for stud forwards because those are usually the guys that are scoring a lot of goals. Ronaldo, Suarez, guys like that. Timo Werner, if you want to add him in just because Germany's so good. But, like for cash games, you need guys with strong fantasy floors, and they tend not to be it. And with a World Cup that's usually pretty low scoring, you don't necessarily want to use all of your salary on 2 or 3 of these guys who may not score, especially for some of them. Like Werner is the one that comes to mind quickly that, Germany could win 4-0 and he might not score. So I tend to only go maybe one stud forward and try to build the rest of it in more of a balanced lineup, just because we just not sure that there are going to be a ton of goals in these games.
Charlie, when you're thinking about just building a lineup in general and the strategy that goes into it based on hearing that, of course, I mean, where ultimately do you fall when it comes to how many of those stud forwards you can fit into that lineup?
Well, you got to think, this is a World Cup made for a lot of goals. Mm-hmm. It's 2 strong teams per group normally. So these guys have at least 2 games to go gung-ho. And we're talking Neymar, we're talking Messi. You try and get 2 studs. I'm a striker. I played striker, so I'm going forward heavy, 3 forwards. That's the utility player. I'm going to use it as a forward, so I'm going to go 3 forwards, 2 midfielders. And you typically want to get strikers who can score and assist, who can create for themselves as well as others. Suarez, he's a goal scorer. He'll take the penalty kicks. He'll also create chances for others. Neymar, same thing. Messi, same thing. Those 3 guys come to mind as far as being the guys that you want on your team because they're going to get you points.
So to that end, while we're talking about the need for goals, and if, like Charlie said, if this tournament is built for goal scorers, built for goals, how many players from a game with a high expected goal total should you stack into a single lineup, Andrew?
I mean, usually you want as many as possible, just particularly if you have a game that has a high goal total and an overwhelming favorite. I mean, we do see games occasionally where there are 2 very good teams, but there also has to be a high goal total. We saw it in the Premier League this past season, like when Liverpool and Man City play. I mean, those are 2 very good teams, and they're going to score goals. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to one side. You can play both. In these group stage matches, you'll have the overwhelming favorite. So, when Uruguay plays Saudi Arabia, you can try to load up there, as much as you want. I still think getting at least one of Suarez and Cavani makes sense. Getting both of them, they basically have to win 5-0, which I guess is possible. I guess I'm just not expecting to see that kind of in most games. And so, you take at least a set piece taker from the favored team in the high goal total, and then kind of work from there.
So what are we looking at? Is it 2? Is it 3? What's your number?
I mean, either one works. I mean, you want to go for the set piece taker first for the favorite, and then when the high goal total, it's usually 3 is where we start really talking about whether it's big enough to really get after a few different pieces.
Skylar, how many of these guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to fit in as many of these guys as possible. I mean, like Andrew said, I think, and like Charlie alluded to, in these tournaments, and it's one shot. So, I mean, these players are going to be giving everything they've got. And, on the other side of it, you've got, you might have a game that has goals in it, and then the other game where you got to really get aggressive and target the games that have goals in it. So I'm trying to jam in as many of those guys as I can. I mean, 4 or 5 from that game, maybe, for me.
All right, so 4 or 5. So, Charlie, I mean, we got maybe 2, 3. We got maybe 4 or 5. We certainly agree as many as we possibly can. But what do you think?
You stack them up. Uruguay is a favorite. They play Russia, they play Saudi Arabia, and they play Egypt.
I remember a fight about that.
Those are all games that, Uruguay could score a ton of goals. You have Edison Cavani and you have Luis Suarez. I would take both of them on my squad, knowing that they're both going to be hungry, they're both going to want to score goals, and you'll get your points.
Okay, so when, real quick, let's get this one in here just around the horn. When should you actually pay up for a goalkeeper? What do you think, Skylar?
It's just really situational. I'd personally, I don't love paying up for a goalkeeper, but in the World Cup, it might be I might be paying up more than usual just because of the smaller slate. I'd take it on a slate-by-slate basis, but there's going to be scenarios, especially in these group stage games, where it gets down to that third group stage match, and there's going to be teams in a must-win spot. So for me, I'd probably feel okay with paying up for a goalkeeper that's facing a team like Saudi Arabia or something like that in their last game that might already be mathematically eliminated, doesn't have a lot of motivation. And so, I would feel pretty confident paying up for a keeper, locking in that 5-point win bonus and a pretty good shot at a clean sheet bonus too.
Yeah, remember, obviously, it's not just trying to get those wins. You can pile up points by a goalie facing a lot of shots. There are different things to consider, but rather than going around, let's jump ahead to price check in the interest of time. Based on these players' salaries for the day 2 3-game slate, we're talking about Friday, are they viable plays? Okay, will they return enough value to justify their price? We'll go one by one. First guy here, we all know him, Cristiano Ronaldo, Portugal, 11,500. What do you say, Andrew?
No chance. It's more about the fact that he's playing Spain than it is anything else. I mean, this is his toughest game that he'll have in the group. Spain are favored anyway. Like, there are very few games where Ronaldo is not on the favorite, is not playing for the favorite. And so this is it. It's not expected to be high scoring. If there are going to be a lot of goals, I just don't see them all coming from Portugal and therefore coming from Ronaldo. That price basically takes you out of everything that you would want from Uruguay, who are playing Saudi Arabia. So you have to not only think, like, is Ronaldo worth it on his own, but then what am I giving up? And you're just giving up way too much by rostering Ronaldo.
Charlie, you were shaking your head before I even finished the question.
No chance am I paying that amount for Cristiano Ronaldo to play against Spain. He's not expected to deliver the performances he would versus the other teams in that group. So no way.
Skylar, any chance?
I'm on board with Andrew and Charlie. I love Ronaldo on the big stage, and I'll probably have some exposure to him in the big World Cup kickoff tournament on Friday, but that's about where it ends. I'm looking forward to playing him against Morocco and Iran, though.
Okay, next up, Mo Salah, Egypt, 9,300, so you could pay down 2,200 there, at least off of Ronaldo, but still, is this a guy that you got to have that exposure to? What do you think, Andrew?
Even a fully fit Mohamed Salah would be tough to do, just because, again, you're giving up. I mean, we're going to keep going back to how much Uruguay you want, kind of back to our question just now, how much do you want on a big favorite? That's the big favorite you want to go after. Egypt aren't going to come in and score a ton of goals. They're a defensive side, and they just kind of wait until they can get Salah on the counter. That doesn't really make me think that they're going to do that, even against an Uruguay defense that Charlie alluded to earlier that, needs some work, we can say. But that price, again, is going to take you away from possibly getting Suarez and Cavani. I mean, those are the guys you probably want. And so I'm going to pass on Salah at that price too.
Skylar?
Yeah, I think I'm passing on him at that price, especially given just his status heading into this first game. We're not 100% that he's going to go. And even if he does go, it could be limited minutes. They might try to play it safe with him. So I'm not buying in just yet. Maybe in a better matchup, and if I know that he's fit, then I'll buy in at that price.
Mo Salah or less Salah? What do you say?
Less Salah. Pass. No chance. They're going up against the group favorites. Mm-hmm. You have him coming off an injury. If I'm the coach, I'm saving him. I'm saying, you know what? We'll take the L. We'll take the L versus Uruguay. We still got Saudi Arabia. We still got Russia. We'll have him fully fit, healthy. Pass.
Of course, you said earlier there's no chance that loss anyway.
No chance.
Don't even worry about it. It does not matter. All right, one more guy, and it's David Silva from Spain, 7,400. Skylar, let's start with you. David, pardon me.
Davies Silva, yeah, I'd say of those three, then he's probably the more viable play of the group. He's going to have a share of Spain set pieces, and he's no stranger to popping up with a goal here and there too. So, I'll say that I don't love the matchup against Portugal, but of those three plays, and I think as far as if you're factoring in price and just his ability to pick up points across the board, then I'd say I like Silva out of all three of those guys.
Yeah, probably not a lot of Davids walking around Spain. What do you say, Andrew?
Yeah, he's definitely the best of the group, meaning the group of these three. What's interesting about David Silva is that he plays a much more attacking role for Spain than he does for Man City. And people who play the Premier League on DraftKings a lot, they know he's there. He comes up every so often. He does take a few of the set pieces when Kevin De Bruyne's not taking them. But for Spain, he basically plays as a forward, and so his goal upside is a lot higher. It makes his floor a little lower because he's not as involved as he would be. The problem with Spain is they have so many guys who could do so many things, particularly set pieces where we're kind of target, but that's what we want to target. And so David Silva doesn't get the floor points from there, but the ceiling's much higher there. And I like that price a lot. Like I like him regardless, forgetting the other guys that we're talking about. Like I think he's actually a really good play on Friday.
Buying in on Silva?
Buying in. He is such a dynamic, silky smooth player. I love watching David Silva play. With Spain, he's always going to get on the ball. He's going to create chances for all the players. You get an assist. You get a point for an assist. He's going to score goals. You get 10 points. As a midfielder, this is a buy. I love the price of David Silva. It's a steal.
U.S. isn't in this tournament, but you did play in the U.S. national team back in the day. Real quick, DraftKings, what's your price?
This one's tough.
Don't get cocky. Don't be too humble. Be accurate. What's your price?
For myself,
Yeah, for yourself.
it'd probably be like around 10,000.
That was called in the back room, my friend. Right on the nose. Right on the nose. Listen to this. We talk about Ronaldo being up at over 11 grand. 10K sitting right next to me. Not too bad. All right, let's eat the chalk, fellas. Just how chalky do you believe these guys are going to be? Do you still want to play them, or is there a pivot that you think would be wise, given, of course, the ownership that we're looking at here, or expecting, projecting? Luis Suarez, Uruguay. Well, much like Charlie Davies right here, 10 grand. What do you think, Charlie?
You go and get him. This is one of the best strikers in the world. Plays flawlessly for Barcelona. I love his movement. I love how he's always involved. He's trouble to deal with. He's such a pain because his movement is great. He's able to check off the ball. He's great on the dribble, and he's a fantastic finisher in the box. You pay the money to get him. You put him on your team. He's in a favorable matchup. Luis Suarez is the truth.
All right, this guy's eating the chalk. What do you think? Skylar, you hungry?
Yeah, I'm eating the chalk too. That's 10K. I mean, Charlie Davies level, I'll pay it. He's going to be chalky. He might be one of the chalkiest plays in that World Cup kickoff contest. But we've got to have exposure to him. Like Charlie said, he's a prolific goal scorer. He's going to get many opportunities against Egypt. And, I'd say Cavani's a fine pivot for $200 less. But for me, I'd rather take Suarez. He has a little bit more upside. Not quite as goal dependent as Cavani, but I think the majority of Uruguay's goals are definitely going to come through those two.
Andrew, you buying, and also do you expect him to be chalky?
I think Suarez is actually going to be like the most polarizing player on the Friday slate in terms of whether you play him or not, particularly in cash games. I mean, he doesn't really have a great floor. You can build a really good lineup that's just kind of filled with guys who get peripherals without Suarez. So you're really just hoping that he doesn't score a goal or possibly two. The hedge that you have there is that it's possible that Uruguay win 2-0 and they both go to Cavani, and that Suarez doesn't really have anything to do with it other than taking up space before Cavani scores, and that's what you hope for if you fade Suarez. That being said, I'm probably not fading him.
All right, let's take a look at our next one here. And look, it's not Madonna, it's not Cher, it's not Adele, it's not Oprah. Isco. One name says it all. Spain, 9,200. Tough challenge, obviously, against Portugal in the opener. How do you view it here? You eating the chalk, Skylar?
I don't think so in this matchup against Portugal. We talked about David Silva a little bit ago. For me, I'd rather pay down almost $2,000 and play Silva at that price. But Isco's going to have some good games this tournament. He's got some good matchups on down in the group stage. But as far as this matchup, I'm probably going to avoid him at 9,200.
Charlie?
I'm avoiding him. Against Portugal, it's a tough matchup. Isco's not known for scoring goals. He's more of a facilitator. I'm not spending 9,200 on Isco. I'm sorry, I'm passing.
That's me, facilitator, just steering the ship right here. So let's go right back to Andrew. Isco, yay or nay?
I think he actually makes a lot of sense when we're playing this kickoff challenge because it's such a big field, and I don't think he's going to be that heavily owned because David Silva's price is so much cheaper. I agree with Skylar that I think we're going to see some big performances from Isco in this tournament, and there's nothing to rule it out that it happens against Portugal. I mean, he had He's had some huge games for Real Madrid. He's had some big games for Spain. And so I don't think he's going to be particularly chalky, but I understand like going for him. Like the fact that he's going to be under-owned gives you a pretty good shot if he does happen to come up on the score sheet.
All right, you could drop down $500. We'll dribble right back to you here, Andrew. You got Morocco's Hakim Ziyech. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the most popular players on the slate. Just the matchup is there. This is kind of the one that you want to start out with just because he does everything for them. And so he could probably be one of the more popular players every game just because he does so much. Morocco's actually like a legitimate team that can do things. I don't think they're going to advance, but he's a very good player. He kind of ticks all the boxes on the DraftKings game log, and you kind of want players like that. And so I think he's going to be really chalky, and I'm happy to eat it.
Andrew, I loved what you said. You're spot on.
But?
Nope, there's no but.
Okay, no, I was
Hakim
waiting
Ziyech,
for the however.
He could be the star of the tournament, the breakout star, because he runs through, he does everything for Morocco. Everything's going to run through him, flow through him. He'll be able to create. He's creative. He can score goals. He's Morocco's playmaker. I love the pick. Andrew, well done.
Skylar,
Thanks,
you
Charlie.
going to land on that same fence?
Yeah, I'm on board too. I think just to add to that, I think when you look at this group, you've got Morocco know they've got Spain and Portugal after this game, so they're looking at this first game as a must-win pretty much. So I'm expecting big things from Ziyech in the first game. I really like that play a lot.
All right, let's keep the train moving here. We're going to go to our conviction plays, okay? Your absolute favorite must-play on Friday's three-game slate. Again, just a few days away. You got Egypt, Uruguay, Morocco, Iran, Portugal, Spain. These are the games we're talking about. So who you like here, Andrew?
The guy we just talked about. I mean, Ziyech is by far the best play on this slate. He's a little expensive, but like not to the point where you have to look elsewhere for points. I mean, he's going to do it all. Skylar mentioned it. This is their game to kind of explode because they're going to need a lot of help from either Portugal or Spain coming up small when they play Morocco. I mean, he's the guy. We should all have him. Unfortunately, the more we talk about him, more people are going to have him. But kind of eat that chalk and go somewhere else.
Skylar, who's your must-play?
Yeah, I love Ziyech, but I think for me it's got to be Luis Suarez just on this slate. Great matchup against Egypt. I think he's going to get a ton of looks. And if the goals start coming in and you don't have exposure to Suarez, then might be about time to go ahead and shut down the laptop. So I think he's going to score some goals this game.
Charlie, I think you're going to tell me about a guy you've already mentioned.
I have Edison Cavani. He's prolific. He's a striker. He's a goal scorer. He's a pure goal scorer. He makes great runs. This game's going to be wide open for him. Egypt's going to defend. He's going to be able to break through. I expect him to come through chalky, extremely chalky. Bye. He's going to be scoring goals.
See, it's no wonder that Chuck over here priced himself at $10,000. We can tell what's important to him. It's all about goal scoring. That's what this tournament is all about. All right, that's going to do it for Andrew. Skylar's going to be right back with us. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Don't just watch soccer, play in the DraftKings Real Shot Challenge presented by Jägermeister and turn your prognostications on the pitch into some seriously cool prizes. The rules of the game are simple, just pick winners. You start by picking the country you love, and this is important because one of the two leaderboards you'll be hoping to top will be comprised solely of those who pick the same country. Once group play begins, start your mornings off by picking outcomes of each and every match kicking off that day. For each you get right, you earn 5 points. You'll have plenty of time to catch up even if you've had a bad day because you'll continue to accrue points throughout the tournament, especially once we reach the knockout stages. Picks in the round of 16 are worth 10 points, and then 15 points for the quarterfinals, and on until the final, where a correct selection scores 30 points. Have a perfect day of picking and you net yourself a 3-point bonus. You also can earn additional points by watching videos on the Real Shot Challenge webpage. At the end of the tournament, the 5 top point getters in each nation's leaderboard walk home with a national team jersey and a Jägermeister jacket. All entries are automatically entered into an overall leaderboard where the prizes are even more lucrative, like the ultimate fan experience, an all-expenses paid trip to the winning team's country to celebrate sweet victory like a local. Enjoy a VIP soccer experience including game tickets, transportation, and swag, plus extra cash so you can roll like a Meister. You don't need cash to enter, it's free, so what are you waiting for? Grab your globe and start your research.
Okay, welcome back. Skylar is here along with Len Don Diego without the Icelandic wool this time around. The weather, it's just too nice. What's going on, guys?
Same year, same jokes, Kaufman.
Yeah, well, you know, some stuff just doesn't get old for me. What can I tell you, pal? Of course, Charlie is here with me. So, chase or fade, guys, that's what we're going to do. Do you agree with these following statements? And convince me. Really sell us. Otherwise, if you got another viable play, I'm all for it. All of the heavily favored teams, they're going to advance from group play. All of them. Len, you've been sitting out. Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I guess it depends how you define heavy favorites. I'm going to fade it. I mean, look, Brazil and Germany will likely advance, but I seriously have this theory about Germany. I'm really questioning what's going on with that team. You got personal issues with Mesut Ozil and Gundogan there. You have Boateng coming back from injury. You have Neuer coming back from injury, and I have to question any team that doesn't take Leroy Sané to the final. So,
Len,
you know,
you're killing
look,
me.
there's also a lot of other tight groups. I mean, specifically, look, Group D with Argentina. I don't think Argentina's getting out of the group stage.
Oh, my
That's
God,
another take.
Len.
Look, Croatia, Nigeria, Iceland.
Len, you're throwing Tabasco all over this.
I am
God.
fading this.
We're talking about Argentina and Germany not getting out of the group?
It's possible.
Len,
I think this is the World
Lenny.
Cup where we see one of the non-favorites take it.
Len,
Preach. Tell them.
Len, the defending World Cup champions, Germany, not getting out of the group? Len, come on. Come on.
Actually, now that I have you, Charlie, what's going on with the Sané thing? Like, that isn't that strange to you? One of the best players in the world.
Not at all. It's all about the system. We're talking about a coach who has a system, who's done it all, who's won a World Cup, and he has a system, and he wants the players to fit that system. If you do not fit that system, if you do not do what he wants you to do in your position, you're out. As talented as Sané is, you're going to go because you don't fit my system. I'm sorry. Maybe next time. But with that being said, we're talking about Germany getting through, not coming through the group, and we're talking about Argentina. Argentina has Messi. They have Messi. Of course they're getting out of the group. If it was just him on the team, they're getting out of the group. But if you throw in Aguero, Dybala, the endless amount of talent that they have on that squad, they're one of the favorites to win this World Cup. Come on, Len.
Skylar,
help me out.
Skylar, obviously we got to break this thing up before the argument gets too messy. Where do you fall on it?
I see where Len's coming from there, but I got to side with Charlie. I feel like the groups are too, as far as the big favorites go, then the groups are too spread out for any of them not to make it out. I mean, there are a couple of tight groups there, but yeah, I just think all of the heavy favorites are going to get an exit group play and make it to the knockout phase. So I'm going to chase that one.
Poor Len just comes onto the show and all of a sudden Charlie's developing a twitch over here. Okay, let's go stars and scrubs. Okay, stars and scrubs will consistently be the optimal lineup strategy. You chasing that or you're going to fade that? Skylar, go ahead.
I think in tournaments I'm going to chase it. I think in some of these, top-heavy prize pool GPPs, and I think that's what's going to take it down. I think you're going to see stars and scrubs line up at the top. I think for cash games, though, then, yeah, I think you can still play it a little bit safer and fit in as much exposure to set pieces and crosses as possible. But, yeah, for tournaments, it's going to be stars and scrubs taking it down.
Len, unsurprisingly, you don't look convinced.
I'm going to fade it, and it's not just because I want to disagree with everybody on the show after how you just treated me, but I think generally it depends on the slate, right? I mean, we just heard a lot about Cavani and Suarez, and the public's going to go that way. You have to find options in lineup construction that's going to differentiate yourself. Expensive defenders, depends on the slate, expensive goalkeepers. Fading a top player like Suarez and looking for the forward that's going to be undervalued on the slate, whether it's a Salah off injury or somebody else. You have to be able to pivot from the crowd on the crowded slates.
All right, we got to chase, we got to fade. What say you, Charles?
I'm going to have to go with Len here.
No.
I
Best
like,
friends all of a sudden.
I like where he's going with this. It's not just about the stars and the scrubs. You can find some players who will be surprising a lot of people in this tournament. You don't have to go with the favorites. Mm-hmm. There'll be a lot of players who can get you a lot of points in the midfield or in the defense. There'll be some surprises in group play. So I like where Len's head's at in this topic.
See, Len, he likes you. He likes you much better. Everything's okay.
Yeah, it's getting better little by little.
All right, well, we'll find out because we got one more chase fade. Maybe things take a turn here. You should always target goalkeepers from low projected scoring games. What do you think? Len, go right back to you.
Yeah, this is a fade for me. I mean, I think one of the biggest things you want to look for is just shots, right? You could have a goalie that gives up 3 goals, but if they face 15 shots and save 12 of them, you had a good day. I think the general public is going to go towards the goalkeepers. They know those are the big names in the tournament. This is an easy fade. You can take goalkeepers in any game. I think they're the least important position in lineup construction because there's a lot of crazy things that can happen to goalies, as we saw in the Champions League final.
Skylar, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounded like you were saying something similar to that earlier as you look to the win bonus and not as much, obviously, on potential shots.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, like I said, it's situational on goalies. I'd say there's certain spots, though, especially in tournaments, kind of going back to the stars and scrubs take there. I think I'm going to fade this. I think that you can play min-price keepers, and like Len said, I mean, if they stand on their heads, show up with a 20-point performance through enough saves that offset any goals they concede, then that's where you open up enough salary to get the Messis, the Neymars, and all those out there, and that's where you start to see that stars and scrubs build come together. So I'm going to fade that one.
All right, so these guys don't think much of goalies. I know when you played, you didn't think much of goalies.
So
what do you
you
think
already
now?
know my answer. Fade! I hit that Jordan fadeaway real quick.
Yeah, just got to dismiss them. We don't even need to worry. We don't need to spend much time on them then. Let's go right to our tiers of joy, okay? Among the selected players of a similar price category, that is important here. The must-plays among them and why. A guy we've spent plenty of time on. This is that first tier, so I'm going to outline the 3 of them. Luis Suarez, $10K, like our pal Davies. Edison Cavani, $9,800, very similar, and of course Mo Salah at $9,300. Of those 3, who is the guy you have to play, Len?
So I think I'm going to just go with Cavani here. I think all of them are viable plays. Look, Salah's health is an issue, and what his status is, whether he's going to come on as a sub or not in the first game. I think for me, Cavani is just slightly lesser known than Suarez, so you get a better ownership opportunity there, and I think he could put in 2 to 3 goals.
You were just talking about you got the Jordan fadeaway before, now you got the Jordan fist pump. I know how you fall.
Len is spot on. It just took him a little time to warm up. Len, it just took you a little time to warm up. Now you're going. Now you're good. Now you're on fire. Okay, Cavani is the answer. Cavani is the answer.
What do you say, Skylar? Skylar, what do you think? All right, we might have lost him. That's okay. We'll get back to him in a second as soon as we get him back. Let's go to our next one. Again, another tier, similar price guys. Hakeem Ziyech, $8,700. Ricardo Quaresma, $8,200. Carlos Sanchez, $8,000. Charlie, let's stay right here. Of course, similarly priced guys, but who's the one?
Hakeem Ziyech. He's the playmaker from Morocco. He's the go-to guy. It's a no-brainer out of that group.
Len?
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, this is the actual tier that has the no-brainer in it. It's Ziyech. We talked him to death. The other 2 are irrelevant to me.
Okay, all right, let's move right along. We have Skylar back. Well, let me know if we do. So let's go to these guys. We can save a whole lot of money with this crew right here. Okay, we're talking into the 4,500 range. Diego Godin at 4,500. Godin, pardon me. Sergio Ramos, 4,400, and Andres Iniesta, 4,400. Skylar's back. So Skylar, never mind name pronunciations. Which one of these 3 guys do you like?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I like Godin here. I mean, I'd say for him, he's the type of center back that gets forward on set pieces, has a shot at scoring a goal. He's actually turned up with some pretty big goals for Uruguay before, and they've got a good matchup against Egypt. I think they could get a clean sheet here, and if you're really scraping the bargain bin there, then I'd say that out of those 3, then he has the best matchup, and I like his upside there, so I'd go with Godin there.
That's one for Godin. Len?
Yeah, if this is a tier, can I take nobody? I mean, this is the type of players that limit your upside in tournaments. Some of them may be loaned. Sergio Ramos might not actually be loaned. He's a big name. It's the type of player I'd particularly avoid. Defenders, you want wing backs, you want players that are getting crosses in that are going to get up on the attack. I'm just fading this tier. Can I fade the tier?
Well, what's the problem with Ramos? Why are you avoiding him, or what's the problem with the tier? Because again, and you're losing Charlie again, pal. I thought you guys were great, but we're talking about extreme value here, but you got to have some of that in your lineup.
Look, you can go to a garage sale and buy things that are really cheap, but is it stuff you want, right? That's like you can end up with a lot of junk. And not to say these aren't good players, but they're certainly not good for fantasy. I mean, you basically need Sergio Ramos to head in a goal. He might be a good player in real life, but like most of the people in this office, we play a lot more fantasy sports than real sports, and these players are not great for your lineup.
Somebody just pulled the Energizer Bunny cord.
Len, I thought we were going somewhere. Here. We're talking about Sergio Ramos, the captain of Real Madrid. Champions League winners. Clean sheets, and he can score goals off set pieces. This is Sergio Ramos. This is a steal. Of course you get him in your team. I can't believe you call them garbage. This is trash to you. We're talking about Sergio Ramos.
Well, I think it was yard sale stuff.
Yard sale.
I thought it was Ramos. Ramos. Yeah.
This is Real Madrid.
Go ahead, Len. What's your counter?
The counter is, look, Charlie's the expert on the field. I think we're the experts on the virtual field, and I think virtually Sergio Ramos is about as bad as it gets in fantasy. I mean, you need to get lucky for him to score a goal. As I just heard earlier, hope is not a strategy, and I'm not going to hope Sergio Ramos heads in a goal.
So what is your strategy for defense? Where do you want defenders to score goals, or do you want defenders to sit back and just have hope for clean sheets? Because essentially I think we're all hoping for goals, assists, and clean sheets. So is there any guarantees, or there's no hope at all? Because I'm pretty sure we're all hoping for points. And if I'm a logical player, I'm going to take a player who can score goals and get clean sheets.
I agree.
There's nothing wrong with hoping for a goal and a clean sheet.
All right, let's let him up. Let him up.
Right.
Go ahead, get off the mat.
I'm getting fired up right now. Jesus.
Well, let's. I think what the key thing we have to look for is formation. What defenders or what players that are eligible defender are going to get farther up the field and just get us free points? I'm talking about crosses, corners, set pieces. What wing backs are going to get more involved? I think if you're in the center back role, your offensive contributions are inherently limited by the formation. So I think wingbacks can generally provide more upside.
Wait, Charlie, hang on. Skylar, pretend that this is wrestling, pal. Tag in. Which side are you going to?
From a daily fantasy soccer standpoint, I'm siding with Len here.
Jeez.
Hey, rostering a center back, I see Charlie's angle with the goal scoring potential from a center back, combining it with a clean sheet. But rostering a center back on DraftKings is never a fun thing to do, but you guys gave me 3 choices there, so I gave you the best answer.
Yeah, so you guys chose Diego Godin and you had Andres Iniesta there. So I don't know if I'm lost or if I'm not understanding this, but we had central backs here and we had a midfielder here, and you chose a center back.
Hey, nothing wrong with Iniesta, but just from playing daily fantasy, he's the type of guy that's hard to get points out of, unless he's on set pieces, unless he's vintage throwback Iniesta, which I don't feel like he's good for points like he used to be. So I'd probably take my chance with Godin in a better matchup against Egypt than Iniesta at Portugal.
Len, did you feel like you won that debate? Was that what I was looking at there?
Nothing to say. It says number 1.
Yeah, number 1 with a whistle.
Accident.
blow that whistle, pal. You can take the 1. All right, let's go to our Real Shot team picks, okay? DraftKings, the Real Shot Challenge, asks users to pick a team that they think is going to win the World Cup. Of course, again, incentive for that team to not be an obvious favorite. It's something to think about. So who would you pick and why? Skylar, let's go to you.
Yeah, so I picked Tunisia. Reason being the contest awards prizes for the overall winners, and it also awards prizes for the top 5 from each nation community. And so for me, anytime I enter a contest like that, then I always want to give myself the best chance. So, say in this instance, and I felt like there might not be as many competitors in the Tunisia group, so to speak. And I think last time I checked, there were 25 or 26 of us. So I believe the winner of each community leaderboard, like the top 5, I think, get that nation's jersey and a Jägermeister jacket. So You guys might see me sporting a Tunisia jersey before too long.
Skylar, I hate to burst your bubble, but there's a better probability of me coming out of retirement and winning the MLS Golden Boot for the regular season than Tunisia has at winning the World Cup or even getting anywhere close to it. So with that being said, I mean, Brazil is probably the favorite, and I'm going with Brazil because even if I have to share the prize, I want to share the prize. At least I won. Tunisia has no chance at all.
Hey, let me clarify that pick a little bit. I'm not saying Tunisia has a shot. I know that they're probably not even going to have a shot of advancing out of their group. But I'm playing off of the game rules there. I'm trying to give myself a chance at a prize because the game rules, I think, figure in making each pick for each game. So I'm not necessarily saying Tunisia is my pick to win it all.
Okay.
Golden boot, huh?
Golden boot.
Golden boot.
Like, come out of retirement, I'm ready to go, boots on, and I've scored 25 goals in MLS.
I feel like we're nearing like hold me back territory. Hold me back. He's coming. He's coming for LDD. What do you say?
I mean, come get some, I guess. Am I supposed to say something about my pick now?
Who's your pick?
Okay. I like Skylar's game theory. I think in the Real Shot Challenge, you want to identify a group that's not as big. I mean, if everyone picks Germany, you're not really going to do well in the contest. But my pick here is Belgium. I guess, was trendy in the last World Cup. I'm guessing it's still pretty trendy, but they feel like a complete team. My only worry is Roberto Martinez is managing. But top down, if you look at their roster, it's pretty stacked. Lukaku, Hazard, Vertonghen, Toby, Carrasco. I could keep going. This is a roster that is very complete. I think they can get out of a fairly easy group. England's the other team in that group. And to me, this is a wide open World Cup. I don't think there's any clear favorite. Germany and Brazil are the two, odds-on favorites. But I think this will be a weird winner, and I'm going with the Belgium team.
Len, it's not weird. It's well done. Belgium is definitely a team loaded with talent. I like your pick. I like where your head's at. No problems there.
See, friendships are made. Everything is coming together. It's been a good hour. It's been an entertaining hour. There's been a lot of debate, and yet you've made a new friend. I'm almost proud. I'm proud. I really am. All right, guys. World Cup action, of course, it kicks off Thursday. You know that, and you got plenty of time to go back. You can rewatch this show. You can learn a thing or two. I have along the way. We certainly wish you all the best of luck in the Jägermeister Real Shot Challenge, guys. You have any parting thoughts that you want to add before we get out of here, Skylar?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I got to say, I feel like I've finally made it. I used to watch Charlie Davies scoring goals on the big stage at Azteca, and now here I am talking World Cup fantasy soccer with him on DraftKings. So thanks so much for the opportunity, guys. It's been a blast, and good luck during the World Cup.
See that? A fan and a friend.
I couldn't.
And any respect
I couldn't be more appreciative.
The 10K.
I couldn't be more appreciative. I've had a blast. We've had some good conversations, some good debates, so this is what it's all about.
Len, break up this Sap Fest.
Well, I don't want to say anything mean unless it's about you, but listen, enjoy the games. Let's hope the U.S. is back in another 4 years, and go Belgium.
All right. Thanks to Andrew, to Jordan, to Skylar, Len, and, of course, this guy right here, Mr. 10K, Charlie Davies. We are talking Real Shot. He's the big shot. I'm Adam. Thanks for watching. Best of luck.